So the worst kept secret in MMA, well, in recent MMA history, is finally out. 2 days ago, it was announced that Francis Ngannou has signed a partnership with the PFL. Now, all this talk of fumbling the bag, did he? Has he? Has Francis Ngannou fumbled the bag? Let's talk about it. Before we do, my name is Rahul J. Chan. This is the Battle Camp. Thank you very much for joining me. If you're new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. So, there's a number of kind of perspectives I want to discuss while I talk about this topic. But the first thing I just want to talk about is the announcement itself, because the news broke on Tuesday morning UK time. So I was shocked when I saw a tweet from DAZN MMA of all Twitter pages, because DAZN MMA Twitter is a very new Twitter profile. They've probably got less than 1,000 followers. And I follow them because I'm sad. But I saw the tweet and I was like, hold on a minute. I haven't seen Francis say anything. I haven't seen the PFL say anything. So I went on the DAZN MMA Twitter profile, and yeah, it was the legit one. And they were the first people that I saw announce this. Then I saw the New York Times article. Then I saw PFL announce it. Then I saw Francis announce it. Then I saw Ariel Helwani, who would have been up at the crack of dawn to be part of this whole rollout and this whole process. And I thought to myself, right, okay, I knew this was happening. But now that it's happened, why do I feel slightly empty about it all? So let's talk about my own perspective, right? I'm not going to lie to you. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed that Francis Ngannou isn't in the UFC fighting the best of the best. I'm disappointed that there's a chance that I will never get to see Francis Ngannou against Jon Jones in the heavyweight division for the unified, undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. I'm upset. I'm sad. I really wanted to see that fight. I really wanted to see Francis Ngannou against Jon Jones. And now it feels like it's not going to happen. The other part of me that felt slightly upset is the fact that the announcement itself confirmed that Francis Ngannou isn't fighting in the PFL until 2024. That's a long time. That is a hell of a long time. A lot can happen from now until 2024. And I'm a fan of Francis Ngannou. I love watching him fight. And I've got to wait another year. That'll be 2 years since his last fight. Shall we check that? Any YouTuber worth his salt would have done the due diligence and checked this information. But while I'm here, I'm just going to quickly go on Wikipedia, type in Francis Ngannou, and I'm going to check when he fought Cyril Gane. And I have a feeling it's November 2021 or something like that. It is January 2022. Not bad, 2 months out. But the point is, it will be over 2 years until we see him fight in the MMA. I was going to say octagon, but now he'll be fighting in the smart cage, won't he? Do you know what I mean? So I'm a little bit like, oh, that's a bit of an anticlimax. I thought once he signs, we'll see him fight sooner rather than later. We've got plenty of time this year to get a boxing match in and then an MMA fight. We're only in May. We've still got 7 months of the year left. So yeah, the fact that he's not fighting till 2024, given the fact that Francis Ngannou is 37, is he? How old is he? 36. He'll be 37 in September. So he might even be 38 when he fights next in the MMA space, in the smart cage, right? So those are the things that disappointed me. But the reaction to, since Francis Ngannou left the UFC, since it was made official, since Dana White had that moment in the post-fight press conference, I think it was, in a post-fight press conference where he started talking about Francis Ngannou, how they made him the biggest offer they've ever made to a heavyweight in the history of the organization, how Francis Ngannou just doesn't want to fight difficult fights, and he's gone off and he's gonna find easy fights. Since then, there's been this narrative where people are talking about Francis Ngannou and how he's mismanaged his career. I've spoken about it. I've made videos in the past talking about Francis Ngannou and how he may be on a hiding to nothing, chasing this boxing dream, trying to chase the biggest names in the sport and trying to engage with Tyson Fury and taking what Tyson Fury says for his word, which I've always said is a big mistake. I made a video after Tyson Fury fought Dillian Whyte and Francis Ngannou jumped in the ring. I made a video after that saying this fight isn't going to happen. I don't know why Francis Ngannou is believing the words that come out of Tyson Fury's mouth, but I'm going off on a tangent. Let's get back on topic. When it was announced that Francis Ngannou and UFC had parted ways, right? I thought, like, I'd seen all of this negativity around Francis Ngannou. People talking about him and how he's mismanaged his career and how he's going to end up with less than the UFC offered him and how he should have just taken that deal, blah, 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 X, Y, Z, right? And I find it quite funny, right, with fans of combat sport, because I've never been in a debate with someone when we're talking about two football teams or two footballers or two cricket players or two, I don't know, any other non-combat related sport, where we're talking about two tennis players, right? And we're discussing who we believe is a better player or sportsman, sportswoman. And how much they earn never comes into the conversation. That's never one of the points where we say, oh, he's better because he earns 300 grand a week, whereas your guy only earns 150 grand a week. Whereas whenever it comes to combat sports, boxing and MMA, money always seems to be something that fans are really, really interested in. And it boils down to the fact that combat sports is a lawless place. There's no rules. People can just do what they want, how they want, in this loosely kind of malleable framework. As long as you don't go too crazy with it, no one really gives a fuck. Do you know what I mean? And with this BKFC guy coming out saying, oh, Francis Ngannou is pricing himself out. Chatri Chittagong, I hope I've pronounced that correctly, from ONE FC coming out saying we've pulled out of the race to sign Francis Ngannou, when really they didn't stand a chance anyway. All of this stuff added salt to the wound, added to the momentum of the narrative around Francis Ngannou and how he's made this massive mistake and how he's fumbled the bag. But to me, and I've said this in previous videos as well, so I'm just reiterating stuff that I've already said. It all just boils down to, how do you define the bag? What is the bag? Because to you, the bag might be taking the hardest fights possible and making the most money possible in this bubble that is MMA, right? To Francis, the bag clearly isn't just being in the UFC and trying to make as much money as the UFC will allow him to make within that organization. That isn't the bag to him. Clearly, to Francis Ngannou, the bag is his freedom. The bag is the ability to earn revenue outside of what happens when that cage door closes. That's the bag. The freedom to explore opportunities to fight in a boxing match. That's the bag for him. And if what these press releases are saying is to be believed, then the PFL are also rewarding him financially in parity to what the UFC potentially could have awarded him. But there's a reason why there's a saying that money don't buy happiness. Because Francis Ngannou, let's not forget, he's already earned a shit ton load of money. He's already rich. He's far richer than he ever probably dreamed he could be, coming from where he's come from. So when he's worked his way into a position where he's comfortable, and his family, whether they're in the States or whether they're in Africa, they're comfortable, they're rich, they're millionaires. He's got into a position where he's already secured the bag. You can't fumble the bag when you've already secured it. He's already got it. He's already got the money that he needs to be comfortable and happy in life. Now, when we project our own value of money onto someone else, and when we project our own feelings towards finances on someone else, that's on us. It's not on him. It's not on him. And it's been clear, he's adamant, he's been talking about this since before he became the UFC champion. he wanted to be a boxer. This MMA thing was just a happenstance. It just happened. He didn't intend to be an MMA fighter. He just happened to be good at it. And he's now got this opportunity to pursue a dream that he's had since he was a child. Now, to me personally, I worry about Francis Ngannou being able to realize that dream, just because I follow boxing enough to know how shady it is and how many snakes there are slithering in the grass in that sport, and how fragmented it is, and how difficult it will be for him to secure a fight with a top heavyweight, and also earn the type of money that that people believe exists in the sport of boxing. Like, you talk to the layman MMA fan, and in their head they just assume, oh yeah, Francis Ngannou is just going to make 30 million if he fights Tyson Fury. He's just going to make 50 million if he fights AJ. First and foremost, getting a fight against one of those names is going to be very, very difficult, especially with what the landscape of the heavyweight division currently looks like, with all these rumors about what's going on in Saudi Arabia and this tournament that they're trying to put together at the end of the year. Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, it all depends what side of the bed he wakes up on each morning in terms of what you're going to get from him. Like, there's so many moving parts. It will be difficult just because there's the four top names in the division. There's these negotiations going on about them not having this tournament at the end of the year. Where Francis Ngannou fits in that equation is outside. He's not in the equation. So with that being said, if he's having this MMA fight in 2024, he's spoken about a warm-up fight at some point this year. I don't know whether that's necessarily a good idea. But then again, if it makes him happy, who the fuck are we? See, again, I'm talking about Francis Ngannou boxing and earning as much money as possible from that endeavor. What if he just wants to fight? What if he doesn't care about the purse? What if he's happy with what he's got and he just wants to test himself in a boxing ring? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, he's already climbed to the top of the mountain when it comes to MMA. He became the world champion, and technically he didn't really defend his title, did he? Because Cyril Gane was the interim champion, I believe. Yeah, Cyril Gane was the interim champion when they fought each other. But he climbed to the top of the mountain in emphatic fashion by knocking out Stipe Miocic, and then he had that battle with Cyril Gane whilst negotiating the knee injury that he had throughout that fight, and he cemented himself as the best heavyweight in the world at that moment in time. So when he's achieved everything he needs to do from a sporting sense within the UFC, which is obviously the premier organization when it comes to mixed martial arts, when he's achieved financial freedom, I'd assume, with the money that he's earned over the years, when he's secured his family back in Africa, or whether they're in the States, he's free. All of these people on social media talking about financial freedom. Hey man, you should do this, and so you can achieve financial freedom, and you can just travel whenever you want to travel. I don't know why I did that shit American accent, but you get what I'm trying to say. He's achieved that, and now he's just doing whatever the fuck he wants to do when he wants to do it. What if he sat down and said to himself, you know what, really securing the bag is for me? It is to go to the PFL, fight lesser opposition, and not as much, but nearly as much money as I would have earned in the UFC, still maintain my winning streak, and have less risk for long-term injury, so I'm healthy when I'm older. What if that's the bag for him? He secured it. He hasn't fumbled it. He has secured it. So, fair play to Francis Ngannou. I understand the frustration of fans, right? Because I'm one of them. I understand the frustration around all of this, because we just wanted to see him fight John Jones. That's all we wanted. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be, because Francis Ngannou clearly values his own self-respect, wanting to feel wanted by an organization, not having this horrible feeling of conflict with the people that are supposed to be promoting you, which is clearly how he's felt over the years. He just wanted a fresh start. Sometimes you got to do that. Are you telling me none of you lot have worked in an organization where you don't like a colleague? Are you telling me you've never been in a situation, a teacher, that you hate that teacher, and that teacher treats you like shit, but you can't do nothing? You can't do. You just got to wait till the end of the year till you move up a year, and hopefully you get a different teacher. Like that was the situation that Francis Ngannou was in. He had other options. He wanted to explore other options, and he took another option when it comes to MMA, and that option still allows him to explore this opportunity to box. So he hasn't fumbled the bag, has he? How can he? How can he have fumbled the bag when he's comfortable financially and he seems to be happy? Isn't that what life's meant to be about? One thing that I will say that really, really did annoy me is Jon Jones. You can't call yourself the baddest man on the planet when you across the street. Oh, you can't call yourself the baddest man on the planet from across the street. Bruh. This is the same guy that sat out for fucking 3 years. And in that period, he's used his time to drink in a car, shoot guns and get arrested. He used that time to have physical altercations with his wife and get arrested and headbutt police car bonnets and not fight. In the time when Francis Ngannou was the top of the tree, it was at the top of the tree in the heavyweight division. Like, Francis Ngannou had been calling for Jon Jones for literally months, if not years, whilst he was a heavyweight. And that was the same time period when Jon Jones came out and said, hey, how come Deontay Wilder is earning $10 million? How come Tyson Fury is earning $10 million? I want to be paid on the same level as Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, or I'm not going to fight. I'm moving up to heavyweight. I need to be compensated. That's what he was saying. He was having the same fucking argument with the UFC that Francis Ngannou had with the UFC. The only difference is Francis Ngannou left with leverage and earned a contract elsewhere that is paying him handsomely. Jon Jones was trapped. He had fights remaining on his contract, so he just had to negotiate a better deal and sign a new 8-fight contract with the UFC. I hated Jon Jones saying that. Because look, I respect him as a fighter. I don't respect what he stands for outside the octagon. I don't respect how self-centered he is. He seems like he's a narcissist, and every situation he kind of has to make it about himself. And this is just another example of that. Anyway, rant over. 17 minutes, and I think that's enough. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. As always, put your comments below. Let me know what you thought about what I have said. Please feel free to share your own opinion in the comments below. I'll catch you guys later.